The job offer felt like a lifeline. I was broke, desperate for a change of scenery, and this dog-sitting gig seemed perfect. A week in a beautiful, remote house, just me and 2 adorable dogs. The owners seemed nice enough, if a little intense. The way they looked at me, it wasn't just sizing me up for the job. It felt like they were measuring me for something else entirely. Still, I pushed the feeling down. I needed this. The house was huge, nestled deep in the woods, miles from the nearest neighbor. The silence was the first thing that got to me. It wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, suffocating. The first night, after the owners left, that silence started to feel like a presence. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves outside, sounded like a footstep. I told myself I was being ridiculous. It was just an old house. But a feeling of unease, a cold dread, settled in my stomach and refused to leave. By the second night, the feeling had grown into full-blown paranoia. I couldn't shake the sensation of being watched. I checked every window, every door, a dozen times. They were all locked, secure, but it didn't help. The house had this massive, heavy front door, the only real way in or out. Before I went to bed, I dragged a heavy antique wooden chair and wedged it under the doorknob. It was solid. No one was getting through that without making a racket. I finally felt a sliver of safety. I took the dogs upstairs with me, locked my bedroom door, and eventually, exhaustion won out over fear. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window. For a moment, everything felt normal. The dogs were curled up at the foot of the bed. I stretched, took a deep breath, and walked out of the bedroom. And then I froze. I went downstairs, and my blood ran cold. The chair, it wasn't under the doorknob. It had been moved. Not just pushed aside, but lifted and placed a good 5 feet away, tucked neatly into a corner of the entryway, almost like a piece of furniture that had been there all along. My heart started hammering against my ribs. It wasn't possible. The dogs couldn't have done it. They were with me all night. The doors were still locked from the inside. The windows were untouched. I ran through the house, my breath catching in my throat, checking every room, every closet, under every bed. Nothing. No one. My mind was racing, trying to find a logical explanation. Maybe I moved it in a half-asleep state, but I knew I hadn't. Someone was in the house with me, and they weren't just hiding. They were playing a game. They were letting me know they could get to me whenever they wanted, that my locks, my pathetic little chair, meant nothing. I grabbed my phone, my hand shaking so badly I could barely dial. I called the owners. Voicemail. I sent a text. Something strange happened. A chair I put by the door was moved. I tried to sound calm, rational. Maybe they knew about a faulty lock, a trick of the house. I waited. Minutes felt like hours. My phone buzzed. A reply. It was from the wife. That's odd. Are the dogs okay? Her response was so casual, so dismissive. I felt a fresh wave of panic. Was I going crazy? The dogs are fine, I texted back, but I'm really scared. I'm sure someone was in the house. Another long pause. Then, the reply that made my world stop. We have cameras. We can check the footage from last night. We'll let you know what we see. Relief washed over me, so intense it almost made me dizzy. Cameras. Of course. There was a logical explanation. I'd see a shadow, a glitch, something that would prove I wasn't losing my mind. I waited, pacing the kitchen, staring at my phone. The house was silent again, but now the silence was mocking me. Finally, the phone buzzed again. We checked. Cameras were glitching last night. Probably the storm. Saw nothing. Just try to relax. You're safe. No, I wasn't. The cameras were out. On the one night this happens, the coincidence was too perfect, too convenient. The relief I'd felt curdled back into absolute terror. The setup was closing in on me. I was alone, with no proof, and the people who were supposed to help were telling me to relax. My instincts were screaming. I had to get out. I grabbed my car keys from the hook by the door. Wait, my keys weren't there. I frantically searched the little bowl where the owners had told me to leave them. Empty. My heart sank. The house keys, the car keys, they were gone. I was trapped. I ran back upstairs, locked myself in the bedroom with the dogs again, and barricaded the door with a dresser. I sat on the floor, back against the wood, phone in my hand, trying to think. Who could I call? The police? What would I tell them? That a chair was moved and my keys were missing? They'd think I was crazy. My phone lit up with another text from the owners. Just stay inside and keep the doors locked. We are on our way. Should be there in an hour. An hour. It felt like a death sentence. I sat there in the dark, listening. Every sound was magnified. My own breathing was a roar in my ears. Time stretched and warped. Then, a new sound. A soft, rhythmic scraping from downstairs. Scratch. Scrape. Pause. Scratch. Scrape. Pause. It was coming from the direction of the garage. I held my breath, straining to hear over the frantic beating of my own heart. It stopped. Silence again. But this silence was different. It was waiting. My phone buzzed in my hand, the screen lighting up the dark room. A new message. From the owners. My fingers trembled as I opened it. 6 words that shattered my reality. I see you're up. Pure, primal terror. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. They knew I was awake. They knew I was in the bedroom. They could see me. Right now. How? The cameras were out. I scrambled away from the door, pressing myself into the farthest corner of the room, as if I could somehow become invisible. My mind was blank with fear. I was a cornered animal. The scraping started again, louder this time, more insistent. Then, a car engine. Headlights swept across the bedroom window. They were here. The owners. I heard the garage door open. Car doors slamming. Voices. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. My phone rang. It was the wife. We are here. We are in the garage. Can you come down? Her voice was cheerful, normal. It was the most terrifying sound I had ever heard. I couldn't speak. I just whimpered. Hello. Are you there? Everything's okay. We are home. I forced myself to move, my limbs feeling like they were made of lead. I pushed the dresser away from the door, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I stumbled down the stairs, one step at a time, my eyes fixed on the door leading to the garage. It was slightly ajar. I pushed it open. The owners were there, unloading groceries, smiling at me. See, told you everything was fine, the husband said, holding up a bag of dog food. It was so normal, so mundane, it felt insane. I almost collapsed with relief. It was over. I was safe. And then I saw him. Over the wife's shoulder, in the darkest corner of the garage, partially hidden behind a stack of boxes. A man. He was squatting down, his face obscured by shadow, but I could see his eyes. They were fixed on me. He slowly, deliberately, raised a hand and held up a set of keys. My keys. My car keys and the key to the house. As my eyes met his, the owner, the husband, turned to me, his smile gone. His expression was cold, empty, and he said the one word that confirmed everything. I know. He knew. He knew I saw the man. He knew about the chair. He knew about the texts. He knew everything, because he had planned it. The police found no forced entry, no footprints, no evidence a crime had even taken place. The man in the garage was gone. To them, it was the story of a hysterical dog sitter. But I know what it was. The camera glitch was intentional. The moved chair was a message. The missing keys were my prison bars. It was all a cold, calculated setup. Surveillance. Control. They didn't want to rob the house. They wanted me. And when their horrifying little game was interrupted, they simply drove back into their own driveway, leaving me with their final, chilling confession. This is a true story of how quickly isolation can be turned into exploitation. If you've ever felt that chilling prickle of being watched when you know you're alone, hit that like button and subscribe. And tell me in the comments below, if you had received that final text, I know, what is the first thing you would have done? Stay safe out there.